Welcome back to another piece of German racing history. Because for 20 points this week, you can go ahead and grab yourself the Porsche 911 GT3 R from 2023. Yep, that goes along with the ones we've already had. So this racing machine has got 565 brake horsepower, 400 foot-pounds of torque, and weighs a whopping 3,395 pounds. It is very, very hefty indeed, with a 4.19 litre engine. Now I've got to say, this does look like a pretty interesting car indeed, certainly something I'd see racing the 24 Hours of Le Mans and the 24 Hours of Spa, complete with the Michelin branded wheels as well, and a massive rear wing. Going to the inside, it does look pretty cool. It has been completely stripped out and made just specifically for racing, but now let's go ahead and take a little listen to this thing. Okay, here we're now over at the upgrade shop. I've got to say, this thing does sound absolutely evil with its cool little gearbox, but going ahead and going over to conversion, let's go ahead and see what we've got in terms of engine swaps. We've got a few for this thing. We've got ourselves a 4 litre flat 6, we've got a 3.6 litre flat 6 twin turbo, we've got ourselves a 3.8 litre flat 6 twin turbo, a racing V12, a 4.6 litre V8 hybrid engine, and also a 3.2 litre flat 6 twin turbo engine as well. If you want, you can also go ahead and make this thing all-wheel drive as well, which I think we'll do probably a bit later on. Mostly because I don't want to make the Porsche fans too angry just yet. Now, as you see, there's a category missing for aero and appearance because, well, let's take a look at this thing. It's pretty obvious why. But if we go over to the custom tuning menu, we can also go ahead and see that the aero over here that we do have is very much tunable indeed. However, our local mechanic is back with another race tune for us. Let's go ahead and bring up the share code. There it is. Feel free to go ahead and grab that for yourself. And we're going to go ahead, download the tune, and just see what it's all about. So this thing is now sat at 3,277 pounds, a little bit lighter than before. Same horsepower, but with better lateral Gs. However, before we go any further, it is time to take a look at the paint. And going to advanced, we actually have 3 paint groups this time. Paint group number 1, of course, being the main body of the car. Paint group number 2, what is paint group number 2? Let's go ahead and have a look. That is kind of like this top bit up here. And if we go to a paint group number 3, let's see what that is. That is, I guess, just like little extra trim around the bottom, around the front, and also some fun little things around here, is it also covers the edge of the wing mirrors too. But in terms of manufacturer colours, if you have a look at that, we only have just one manufacturer colour to work with. But in the meantime, I think it's time we get this thing out on the racetrack. Now, I know there's been a lot of Porsches made, but for this specific car, I genuinely can't find online how many of these were made. So if you happen to know how many GT3 Rs were made, go ahead and let me know in the comments. And away we go, we're now up against a bunch of, well, just really, really well kitted out race cars. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see where this thing ends up by the end of the race. Obviously, we want to try and go for first place with this thing, but well, let's go ahead and see what happens, shall we? To be fair, if we got first, I'd be very, very happy. Alright, let's see, how do we do on here? We are honestly not catching anybody, which is, well, a bit alarming, to be honest. On the brakes are okay, until we just pile drive ourselves into the wall. Ow! Just gonna go ahead and restart that. And away we go with take number 2. Totally didn't crash the first time, nothing happened. Anyway, let's go ahead and see if we can get this thing from 8th all the way up into first place. I'll be very, very happy if we do. Although, to be fair, I'll be happy if we can just, well, if we even get podium with this thing, I'll be happy. In the meantime, if you wanted to buy one of these things for yourself, you would have to have very, very deep pockets, because this thing costs an eye-watering $575,000 US dollars. This thing is very, very expensive. And in case you're wondering, this is how much it is in pound sterling. So, by some sheer miracle, we've managed to make it all the way up into second. We're now chasing down first place. I don't even know what first place is driving, but hopefully we might get a little bit of a glimpse in a second. We're right up alongside them, and it is it's a Cadillac. Well, now it's in the wall, and now we're first place. Update, we're no longer in first place. The Cadillac has a better turning circle than I do. 95%, one more turn left to go. First place has absolutely zoomed it away from all of us, but across the line we go with a second place. We did get very, very close to first, but we did get a time of 1 minute 57. So as it turns out, it was actually a pretty interesting race. Not quite the result we were after, but we got close. In the meantime, let's go ahead and take a look at the Horizon backstage, because this week we've got a racing Ford GT versus the racing Hyundai Elantra, and also the number 20 MG MG6 versus the Aston Martin Valkyrie AMR. And I know a lot of people in the comment section of one of my videos recently were really after having this car, so I'd say now is definitely the week to vote for it. In the meantime, Mac has been busy at work behind the scenes making us yet another brand new tune with a name that very much resembles this game's current optimization state. But let's go ahead and bring up the share code very quickly. There we go, feel free to go ahead and grab that for yourself. And we're going to go ahead, install it, and go drag racing. So with these upgrades, we're now at £2,925 in weight, a lot lighter than before, and also just a shade over 1,400 440 brake horsepower. This thing's going to be insane. Although the black and red does look good, I think it's time we change up the paint. Blue? Yeah, okay, go on then. Alrighty, here we are now over at the back of the festival. Let's go ahead and get a wheelie check out of this thing. I was told it's going to be good, and it is. It definitely is. We're in second gear. Well, that was something. Okay, here we are now at the drag strip. We're on launch control, and away we go. Oh, we are wheeling. There we go. Wheels back on the ground. Let's try and see what we can get out of this thing. I'm hoping it's going to be something good, because it's light. It's very, very, very powerful. And through the camera at 210, off the end of the runway at 234, and zero braking. I guess it's just keeping up tradition. In the meantime, now it's our turn to go ahead and have a little bit of chaos to this thing. So we are going once again with the V8 hybrid. We're also going to go ahead and make this thing all-wheel drive as promised earlier, and also go ahead and slap in some twin turbos and make this thing into a little bit of a top speed build. You know what? I'd say that looks good. And now I've got to sit here and tune all of these. I'll be back in a few minutes. However, before we go any further, here is this week's Forzathon shop. We've got the Ferrari Enzo from 2002, we've got a Horizon backstage pass, the Extreme E white race suit, the Urban Rebel Cupra concept. It's a really weird car, but it's kind of fun. We also have the Cupra Urban Rebel concept car, the Horizon Mexico themed car horn, which sounds a bit like this. Well, I don't know what I was expecting, but it certainly sounded interesting. Anyway, we've also got ourselves the Horizon Super Wheel Spin and the regular Horizon Wheel Spin as well. And now, out to the motorway. Now, recently we were able to get pretty much exactly on the motorway grade, so this time let's go ahead and see how close we have gotten. Are we there? Are we not? Nope, this time we're a bit further behind it. Oh well. In the meantime, here we are at the edge of the motorway, we're on launch control, and now away we go! Let's go ahead and see what we get out of this thing. I'm hoping for something pretty good, considering, once again, it is light with a lot of power. That usually seems to be a recipe for absolute chaos with these cars. Any second, we should see, there we go, out the speed zone, 264.31, and we nearly took out a taxi as well, which might not be a very good idea. But let's go ahead and see what we get on the downhill and the speed camera, and honestly, I'm hoping for at least maybe 272. In fact, there is the camera, 269.67 going downhill, 271 and 272. There it is. We've got the top speed that I wanted out of this thing. And I think that is probably about all the top speed we're going to get out of this thing at 272. But come on, we all know there's one thing left. But before that, let's go ahead and change this thing up, make it look a little bit nicer. There we go. That's a bit better. You know, if I get time, I might make a full design out of this. Right, it is time for our usual car test. Let's go ahead, throw this thing in and see how good it is at going sideways. I was promised this thing is a pretty decent drift car, so let's go ahead and see it. Does it live up to that? Actually, yeah, it kind of does. 38,717 points and very, very sideways just after the drift zone. Although usually it's better to be sideways in the drift zone. However, let's give it another shot, throw this thing in and see what we get from this thing. 38,717 to beat. And what do we get? We get ourselves a 38,601. And if you ask me, that's pretty good. Anyway, that is it for this video on the Porsche 911 GT3 R. It's quite a car indeed, definitely worth picking up and at least taking into a couple races online, because I've got a feeling that this thing might be pretty decent. Especially with the amount of grip and downforce this thing has, it's unbelievable. If anything, at least it's an improvement over the Dakar from last week. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Feel free to go ahead and like, share, comment, subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot, and I'm pretty sure by the time this video goes up, we're practically at 1.2k, which is pretty good, but can we reach 1.25 by the end of the year? I'll leave that one up to you. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I will see you all in the next one. As ever, thanks for watching. Tech out. See ya. Okay, back to the paint shop.